friends, I wanted to make this video just in case some of you are feeling how I am some of the time, which is discouraged. Well, if we haven't met before, my name is Betsy. I have a wonderful husband and two small kids, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. And let me tell you, discouragement in homemaking is very real. And probably if you're watching this video, I don't need to tell you that. There are times where it's just discouraging. And there's two reasons that I have found primarily in my own life for that discouragement. And so I want to talk about those a little bit, and then I want to talk about some remedies for those, or some things that can kind of help, hopefully that can help you, things that have helped me along the way. One big reason for discouragement for myself is comparison. I know that oftentimes I can get discouraged in my homemaking and discouraged in the managing of my home when I begin comparing myself to other people, other homemakers who are doing all kinds of things in their home. And it is always the case, almost always the case, where we're comparing our worst to somebody else's best. And what has helped me with comparison is, I know it's so obvious, but it's shutting off social media, and it's purposefully putting people around myself that are encouraging and positive, and people that are not prone to comparing. So I have a couple of really good friends that are so great about not comparing. We're in similar seasons of life, our kids are similar ages, but these friends are so good about just standing shoulder to shoulder, doing life together, and not comparing, your kid is doing this, my kid is doing this, this is how things are at our house, how are things at your house, But I'm so thankful to have found a couple of really good friends who are so good about not comparing and just being super encouraging. And we try really hard to just encourage one another. And we run our homes differently, we parent differently, all of those things are different, but we are still there to encourage and support each other. The number 2 reason for discouragement in homemaking for me is that feeling of life being on repeat. Do you know what I'm talking about? I know you must know what I'm talking about, where you just feel like every day is the same, and you feel like you get up, you cook the same food, you clean up the same messes, you go through the same routines, just to fall into bed at night exhausted and then get up in the morning and do it again. And you may feel this more so at different times of life. I don't know how it'll be when my kids are older. With our kids being young, it definitely feels that way, where you're just running the whole day and everybody needs you and there's so much to do. And then finally, when the house is quiet at night, all the wonderful ideas you had earlier in the day for things you wanted to do once the kids were in bed just evaporate. And you just fall into bed yourself exhausted. And so this whole idea of life being on repeat can feel discouraging, because you just feel like, is it ever going to be any different? All I do is make dinner. All I do is wash these same dishes and put them in the dishwasher, and then unload those same dishes and just do the same thing over and over and over again. And one thing that has helped me with that kind of discouragement is looking back at the last several years and realizing that, in fact, even though every day does feel the same, things are changing over time. And where we're at this year is not where we were at a year ago as a family. Where we were at a year ago is not where we were at 2 years before that. Things are changing, but it often just feels like when you're in the day-to-day, when you're in the trenches, life just feels like it's on repeat. But when I look back and I realize, honestly, how quickly the time has flown, looking at family photos is one surefire way to realize how quickly the time has flown. But you realize, oh, my kid wasn't sleeping through the night a year ago, or neither of my kids were potty trained, 2 years ago. And now we've got 2 kids that sleep through the night, and we've got 2 kids that are potty trained, those kind of things where you're realizing it does feel like life is on repeat, but at the same time, things are changing. And a motto that I have taken to saying to myself, even sometimes out loud when I'm really having a hard time, is to say, it's not always going to be this way. And that's for better or for worse, right? Sometimes for better, there's really challenging seasons you go through where you think, oh, it's not always going to be this way. You just have to hang on. And then there's other times where you think this time is so sweet and it's so wonderful. and it's not always going to be this way. And so I need to soak in what's happening here and not just let it go by without being noticed. So those are the two areas where I have found discouragement to really hit me the most. One is in comparison, and the second is in that feeling of life being on repeat. I had mentioned in an earlier video that I have been reading this book, The Life-Giving Home. One of the passages that I found so good, and I just want to read it out to you in closing because I think it's so powerful. And this is on page 61. As I reflect back on all of the years of our family's life together, what I remember best is not the mountains of dirty dishes and pots and pans and socks left on the floor and piles of laundry. I reflect instead on precious times shared with my husband, the kids, and those we welcomed into our home, snuggling on the couch together, nursing babies and rocking them to sleep, sharing movies and huge bowls of popcorn, comforting children after a nightmare, and all those heartfelt kisses and cards that said, "I love you." To me, all these memories of love given and love received glue the years together into a deeply satisfying collage. I am so grateful for the opportunities we took to say to each other, "You are important to me." Making time to share love, intimacy, and memories is so much more important than any task that would steal my time from you. It really is so true. All of the things about homemaking that bring discouragement right now with regard to housework and staying on top of the pile and feeling like the days repeat themselves, those things will fade with time. But what is not going to fade are the times that I've spent with my children, the times I've spent with my husband, and the times we as a family have created loving memories in our home. And that is why my channel is called A Flourishing Place, is because my heart's desire is truly for our home to be a place that is flourishing, a place where my family is flourishing and doing well, and where our love for each other is strong, and that our home is kind of a refuge from the discouragement that is out in the world, because the world is a discouraging and dark place, but the home can be a place that is full of love and full of light. I just wanted to share this. If you are in a place of feeling discouraged in housework and in homemaking and in raising your kids and where things are at, just be encouraged that there are others that are in the trenches with you working to build flourishing homes. And so I hope this video was encouraging to you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.